Well, this is real. You know, I got to study for 2 years with Cherríe in Indígena as scribe. And when you talked about don't let amnesia weaken our movements, it's programs like that. You know, out of that, I was born a writer. And out of that, I was born a performer. And the whole thing about creativity and how it has, it's medicina. Nos cura, ¿verdad? It has the power to heal us. And not only does it have the power to heal us, we get to have fun while it's happening. So, because we're in the same age range, Cherríe, you know, and I have benefited so profoundly from your work, starting with the work that you and Gloria Ansaldúa did. I just wanted to publicly just thank you and tell you in many ways you've saved my life, literally, because you helped me remember who I am and why I came here. Muchísimas gracias, hermana.
A ti, hermana, gracias.
Greetings. I really appreciate your blessings of sharing your wisdom. So my question is, my name is Jatan. My question is about two things, spirituality and economics. So you could choose whichever one you wish to speak on, but my concern is that on some level, as a Butch identified old school, I always felt like I had to choose between my whole self spiritually and making a living, like my full expression, to participate in the economics and also to educate and model the stigma that is expected when people are fearful or unwilling to open their hearts to me. Mm-hmm. And in the economic realm, growing up in Oakland, it was very difficult to my mental health to manage the complexities and to navigate the systems, even among my community or the community or my own, what I call my family, chosen family. So all the layers that you describe, there is a cause and effect. I spent so much time in my sexuality that I was out of harmony in other areas of my life as I aged. Thank you.
Well, I think you said it all, you know. No, I mean, I think that I think because what you're describing is the complexity of what it means to be queer of color. When you, to me, it's really interesting that you hook up sexuality, spirituality, and economics, right? Because those are the things that literally keep us up at night, you know. And I think that as we age too, it's like what I have found in my own life is that the emphasis shifts at different times, right? It's like, and you just said it, you already said it, but it's like if you focus too much like on the politic or on the, you know, sexuality or the, you know, it's like suddenly you're going, why am I broke, you know? And then, so then I got to deal, man, I got to get my benefits together, I got to do all that, you know. It's like I get a job with some benefits, at least I get my teeth fixed and I can do, you know, do that for a couple of years, then I can go back to this. That is, you know, what I love about Buddhism is that what it teaches you is this is now. That's it, it doesn't look no different. You know, and I think always in our life, and it doesn't mean that we don't strive, but there is a certain truth in the fact that when you open your eyes and wherever you are at, if you are looking at death in your own body or the death of your elder or you're just lost your job or everything, you just got the woman of your dreams, whatever it was, good, bad, indifferent, it is what is happening at that moment. And there's a certain sort of, what I have found, the only thing to me that has helped me in any way is some capacity of awareness that this is my life. And that it doesn't necessarily, you know, this illusion about it gets easier. I mean, I don't know who dreamed that one of. Because I think that in my life I can say on a certain level, economically some things got easier for me because I got a really good gig. And I don't know why the powers that be let that fall on me and my family, but it came in a really good time. And it really helped out a lot of people, And it has supported some of the Chicana queer art you see in this world, But it made the mandate of working and being and digging into what was required of that work that much harder. Because I actually could make the time to do it. And raise the kids, and I won't go into that. But the point of it is that if what your life is about is always that multiplicity, it will always be that multiplicity. And I think we need to honor that in ourselves, even when it's the hardest. So I thank you for that.
Thank you so much for sharing your words with us. I have a kind of complicated question that I may or may not be able to get out. And great job on speaking earlier. I'm getting so nervous as I'm standing here. So I work at the Women's Resources and Research Center at UC Davis. And you spoke about something that I've been holding during my time there that I haven't figured out how to work out, which is I see our students in particular in this new generation of progressive radical activists getting stuck somewhere between the internalized misogyny and woman-hating environment that we live in, and the cis guilt for the women that are involved with us that are cisgender, that invisibilizes womanness and experiences of women.
But they feel guilty about being
Gender. Well,
this
that's
is your impression. I understand that.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think that.
And then conversely, what's happening on the other side? You said that the man-hating was internalized?
Well, I think that some of the sexism is certainly internalized in the students that work with us.
So they're being sexist? No, just come straight up. Just
Yeah.
what you think. Nobody's going to hold you.
No, I think I don't know that it's about being sexism as much as it is they're afraid to talk about gender equity. Like they're so much more willing to talk about race and their queerness, and they get so excited when I came on board, they were so excited to learn that I was a queer femme. So they're so excited about that, but they're so afraid to talk about being women,
Yes.
or wanting to hide that,
Yes.
or not letting that interact with their gender presentation. And
Right.
could you solve that for me?
Oh, yes. That's cool. I'm good.
And so that's my first question. I think my follow-up is if you would be willing
She's
to
one of those high-maintenance ones.
wondering if you'd be willing to share your words with us in a way that I could share them with some of the students we work with.
Would I be willing to share this? Yes, absolutely.
Thank
yes. you. Well, yes, and when my son was really little, we'd go out to the restaurant. Go to the restaurant, and he goes, "When the food's coming? When's the food coming?" And you're waiting in the restaurant. You go, "When's the food coming?" It reminds me of this. And I'd go, right now. And usually I could see a lot, whether it was coming or something like that. He just thought it was so brilliant. It feels like one of those moments. It's like, fix it with it. Anyway, he quickly learned that was fakery. Anyway, but I think that what you're saying, it takes an enormous amount of courage in that context to rupture that. You know what I mean? I'm telling you for reals, it's like writing this, and the other essay I wrote too, and writing this is some of the hardest kind of writing I can do. And I'm saying it like that because I feel like every word I'm making sure I don't want, and I don't want to be a fucking liberal, and that's what I hate more than anything else, So I think that it's that liberalness thing that's really, really useless It's so useless politically, and yet I understand. And you see all these people. I see it in my classes at Stanford. You know, if there is a trans person in the room, it's like everybody's like all like tippy-toey, you know, like all imperfect and that, and it's oppressive. And you're thinking this is a contradiction in terms. We're talking liberation here, so it doesn't do anybody any good. The carefulness is about political correctness. The carefulness is not about, engagement is engagement. You ask questions, you say, what is up? I don't feel comfortable with that. Well, I'm sorry, that's the only words I know, man, whatever. And you fight. Okay, well, let's fight, or something. I don't mean for there to be, there's so much. I say this as a writer. Language is a dangerous thing. There is so much language to cover what's really going on. If I hear the word trauma one more time, with all due respect, I am going to go out of I wrote the word trauma. I go, what the fuck, what are you writing the word trauma for? I wrote the word trauma and I got it out and I said, what do you mean to say? Now, I wouldn't have had to say that years ago, but trauma became a word that has now been so used it no longer has meaning. And the same thing, so this is what I'm saying about us very quickly saying, okay, now here is, and I know this, I mean this with no disrespect, and I honor all the politic and struggle that goes through these kinds of things. To come up with language that seems right. And it does create agitation. It does create uncomfortableness, and that's a good thing. I know that politically, right? But it can't create censorship. And when you are trying to work in a place like yours, which is supposed to be a support group, a place of support for queer and women and, all of it, then, and there is a silence going on that has to be ruptured. And probably you're not the one to do it. Probably the thing is that you need to bring in somebody to have that kind of conversation in a clean and respectful way, But it can't be one of those same people that got all the party line rules. It's got to be, it's like, that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, I'll just tell you what I feel. That I just feel like when I wrote that line that behind it are white people, when things are getting a little too correct, I am sorry, this is 35 years of struggle. And when you look at most of the queer centers on campus, even though they have lots of people of color, the ideology is still Western. It is still a Western way. And I think it's a short-term thing that can empower people and all this kind of stuff. But, it's like, Cherríe says, I'd rather throw all these people in a lodge, man. You know what I mean? It's like, let's see what's really going on. Let's see what kind of language you use then, because, but the point being is that your instincts are right on, and all I want to say to you, and I'll stop here, and I say this to everybody because it's the only thing I know, that when we have that little agitation in us, a little part of us, like Luis Satish always called it, that still little quiet voice inside, it's like, you're going, this ain't right, this ain't right, this is a lie, this is a lie. You need to follow that thread because that's what's going to make you politically useful. And so I thank you so much for the question. And yes, I'm happy to, we'll figure out how to get this thing out. Yeah, okay.
Hello.
Okay, there you go. Hey.
So I have like a connection, I feel. I come from a Chicano American family. My mom being Mexican, 100%, my dad being white. And recently, like 5 years ago, I just came out. And I wanted to know, like, what was your differences coming out to one side of your family compared to your white side of the family? I struggle with that. Like, it's so different, like, with my Chicano family and then my white family. Like, my white family, most of it's like, oh, whatever, And my Mexican family is like, okay, well, first you came out as a Christian, and now you're not Catholic. Now you're saying you're gay. Really? How much more, Tammy? So I wanted to know, like, what was your differences? How did you feel coming out being mixed-raced?
I really don't, I'm not a really good prototype for that because my father had virtually no family when we were growing up. I mean, he was pretty much, his mother died when I was 5, and his sister died. You know, we didn't have really a close relationship with them. So, you know, for me, coming out was talking to the main event, which was my mom, you know. So you know, it's like once I got her covered, I was good to go, you know. I mean, because that was, it was very different in that sense. I didn't have, you know, my father is a very, you know, politically progressive person, and, but I don't, you know, he also doesn't necessarily take strong stands on anything, you know, as much as I love him. I do not go to him for moments of having to really be courageous. And for my mother, her ability to accept me was one of the most courageous acts she's ever done, you know, knowing where she's coming from. So really and truly, once that happened, everything else is small potatoes after that, you know. But anyway, so I'm sorry I can't really help you so much on that way, and because they are such distinct cultures, you know. But I always say, and I go for the hard stuff, man. You know, I mean, I just say because it is if those are the burdens that need to be relieved so that you can move more freely in this world, you know. And you have to do it in your own time and in your own way. But always know that it's the hard stuff that is what's going to stay hard, you know, until you're able to open that up. And I wish you every blessing on that road for you. Are we good? We're good? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.